Thank God I got somebody to help me with the ballot. But I had no idea how to scan this cockpit picking thing or do whatever it's supposed to do. So, I think it kind of discriminates against disabled people and people over 70. Do whatever it's supposed to do. How to scan. So, I don't know. I think it kind of discriminates against disabled people and people over 70. Do whatever it's supposed to do. How to scan. So, I don't know. I think it kind of discriminates against disabled people. I'm really upset about the whole fast turnaround. Nobody told us that at all prior to Saturday. Here.
And the difference, Rocky, is this is a holiday weekend. I left town on Thursday. You all sent something out on Friday. I didn't even have internet service over this weekend. And the earliest I could even get home to look at the ballot was 3:30 this afternoon and try to get it in. It's not fair process. And whatever the Secretary of State does, they do. But what our caucus does should be fair, and we should not be endorsing people on a holiday weekend, on a holiday without fair notice to people.
Okay, point taken. Sean, you have your hand up?
My motion stands. I'd like a vote.
Okay, we're taking comments on this. Sean?
So I actually would like to make a substitute motion. I don't know if that's in order. Sorry, it's a little loud here. Yeah. That we extend voting another 3 hours and reconvene at 8:30 with CDP staff and you as the regional director making calls to anyone who has submitted their ballot to ensure that their ballot is included in the count.
It was hard to hear him, Rocky.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
It was a substitute.
Oh, okay. If you say so.
It was a substitute motion to reconvene in 3 hours to allow the other people to vote. All right. Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Okay, Austin seconding that motion. Any discussion? Art? Doug?
Rocky, sorry, just really quickly.
Sorry, Rocky, this is Ben.
Yeah.
So real quick, it is not, so CDP staff has never had the role of being the ones to get people to turn their ballots in. What we do is we send the ballots out, we send a reminder email to those we haven't received, but I can just tell you that a motion to direct the CDP staff to call those who have not received the ballot, who have not voted yet, that's not something that the staff can do, because it's not our job to engage with the voters. That's the job of the candidates. Thank you, Robin. I mean, at this point, if you want to extend the deadline 3 hours, I mean, I don't know if I personally will be able to be working at 8:38 tonight, but I mean, I don't know, I would kind of leave that to the discretion of this body, but just very clearly, the bylaws do allow the party to do this general special endorsing caucus in an expedited timeline, understanding that essentially at all times.
I withdraw my second.
Excuse me. It is E-54. So it's 54 days before the election that the party endorsements are due. And so in the primary, it's a lot easier for us because generally there's a lot more time, but in the general, it is a very quick turnaround. You basically have the primary and the very next week it is due. I went through the same thing when I managed a special election in 8051 in 2017. We had the primary. The next week we had our meeting for the same thing. So and then the second part, as you mentioned, Rocky, is that the reason that it is Monday is that there is a 48-hour period for anyone to challenge the election. And we have it on Monday. So you have until Wednesday afternoon to file a challenge. And if a valid challenge has been filed, Thursday morning, there can be a meeting to hear on the challenge and still get the endorsement in on time if it stands. So that's the timeline. It can't really be amended. This is what we've been doing. It is within the bylaws allow us to, it's how the bylaws direct us to do it. So to the question of pushing the vote back, I leave that to the body, but I mean, all I'm saying is it can't go past today, just because of our bylaws and the ability to give people a fair opportunity to challenge.
I withdraw my second.
And I appreciate Ben's comments, Rocky, but today is a legal holiday.
Okay.
People are on holiday. It is not fair to have this process be jammed like this and take place on a legal holiday. It's just not valid.
Well, this is determined by the Secretary of State calling for or the governor rather calling for the special election. So if the
why
process
weren't we
comes
told
back
it
from
in
that.
advance, Rocky? I mean, I didn't know about this until Saturday.
Okay, I didn't know about it till Friday. So
Rocky,
okay, so
Rocky,
let me point out. Okay,
Sean.
yeah, we have a lot of hands up real quick. To be clear, we're talking about there's 3 ballots left. Okay, there's not a huge amount of people there, and the people, that's what we're talking about.
48 hours.
I'm sorry, Art, just one moment. If you're taking hands, would you like me to go through the list as people have raised their hands so everybody has
That'd
a
be
fair
helpful
opportunity?
because it's tough for me to track. Yes.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to do that. I'm going to start with the first hand I see, Mr. Art Blacksher. I'll lower your hand and you can go ahead and comment.
Thank you. Respectfully speaking, as we all know, across the nation, there's been a aggressive move to squash Black and brown votes all across this country. And this is a direct hit on that as it relates to the Democratic Party. So 2 things here. First, under the Mia and her mother, I moved to ask to disqualify as in regards to alleged signature signing of delegates, fraudulent signature signing of delegates, and 2, the investigating of a conflict of interest for violating the bylaw for the CDP as it relates to Mr. Rob Bonta, materials financial interest. These are issues that, once again, we are trying to clean up the voting process. And overlooking these issues is a direct hit and also targets to what the Republican Party is trying to do is squash votes and make it appear that all votes do not matter and you can get your vote any way you'd like. Thank you.
That's just, yeah.
Okay, next we have, and just so everybody knows, either we're speaking to the motion or making a brief comment. So let's stick to that so we can get through this. Austin Tam, you're next up. I'd like to lower your hand, please.
Thank you. This has been a shameful and disgraceful process and a shady process. I make a motion to disqualify Rob for self-dealing because he appointed family members and staffers because they have material financial interest involved with getting me endorsed. And this is a shameful process that needs to be investigated.
That motion's out.
Okay, thank you. Let's try to keep to the motion, please, everybody. Okay, Miss Robin Torello, I'm going to lower your hand, please. Thank you.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. I just want to reiterate that this is not a plot. This is according to the Secretary of State calendar, and you can look at it. All candidates should be fully aware of that when they put their name in right from the very beginning. And we had to move fast the last time as well because it's called a special election. So I ask that we just go on to the motion, deal with the motion at hand, take care of the vote, and then, as Ben said, you can make a challenge if you wish to do so under the terms of the election. I don't have a dog in this hunt. I was from Malia Vella, so I come to this, completely on no one's side. I'm just telling you what the rules are. So thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, Sean, I'm lowering your hand. And just as a reminder, the motion was to extend the vote. Pamela Price made the motion until 8 o'clock, I believe, or 8:30.
No, I think it was.
Correct. I made a substitute
that was not
motion.
my motion.
7-7.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll go to Sean, and I'm lowering your hand.
Thank you, Emma. So my substitute motion, I would like to amend to Rocky, have you call those 3 people and give us an extension for 3 hours for them to submit their ballots so that we can ensure that the full 8018 delegation has had an opportunity to submit their ballots.
Okay. Motion is for me to call 3 over the people with 3 hours extension.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah, Jack, can
Who said
somebody
that?
just, you can't substitute my motion without my permission.
Okay.
Pamela, do I have your permission?
No.
Okay. All right. Then that dies. And back to the motion. Are there 2 more?
Yes, we have Maria Perez Ruiz. Maria, I'm lowering your hand so you can, and then you can speak. Thank you. Sorry. Maria?
Mara, you're muted.
There we go. I'm unmuting you, Maria.
It's Mari, Emma.
Mari, excuse me. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. The rules were published and known to anyone who cared to look. And I think many of us are seasoned or have got a campaign or 2 under our belt. And I expect our candidates to know exactly what those rules are and prepare and so I also think that this process was fair as the special elections go. It didn't favor one candidate or the other. I think that it's not the responsibility of CDP to call or whip votes. It's the responsibility of candidates to do that, to rally support around them. So some of the concerns that expressed here, some of the folks that I know experienced that. And we knew that it did not favor or one candidate over the other. The rules were known for everyone to see. It was fair as special elections go. And I don't think that it should be extended. And especially because, like I said, many of us here have been in a number of different campaigns. And we should have known those rules and should have been on top of it.
Thank you. I will go to Howard Eagerman. Howard, I'm lowering your hand, and then you can speak, please.
Okay. My name is Howard, and I'm also the secretary of the senior caucus. And my main concern about this whole process is that it's discriminatory towards seniors and people with disabilities, because I didn't know what in the heck to do in terms of my ballot, because I can't scan, everything like that. So I think the whole process was unfair. And I've been around for a long, long time, including a number of special elections for the 18th, it used to be 16th Assembly District, including one in which a Green person, Audie Bach, won over L.U. Harris. So I think it's really important to realize that we need to realize that some of us are disabled, some of us are seasoned or old and need additional time. And I mentioned that to Rocky. I'm very happy someone helped me with this, because I had no idea how to scan this thing at all. And a lot of people were gone this weekend. So I don't see any problem in doing this, because we're a party that believes in democracy. People should be able to vote, and there shouldn't be roadblocks like we encountered in this particular situation.
Okay, Howard. I know we have a few more people that are wanting to speak, and we've been doing this for quite some time. I understand that we do want to have this good debate, but please don't raise your hand if you've already spoken, because we have a few more to get to. But
Rocky, I'm gonna stop at Mario Juarez. He's the last person, and I will go to Iris now. Iris?
Thank you. I think the extension, I think this whole thing that we're discussing is not based on what the candidate knows or does not know. This is based on the process. And it sounds like, the CDP is speaking to the candidates, and this is not about the candidates. And if there are just 3 people that have not gotten their ballots in, what is it that can be done to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to vote?
The current motion on the table is to move this to move the voting until tomorrow, which I have already ruled out of order.
Hey, Jim?
Was Wednesday, Rocky.
Does that mean you called?
Yes, Jim Odie?
Thanks, Emma. I just wanted to point out, I think Rocky mentioned this already. There were 53 out of 56 voters had returned their ballot. And I don't think it's safe to assume that the 3 that didn't turn theirs in didn't make a conscious choice to not turn theirs in. That happens every election. I know as someone who's been whipping votes that there were at least 2 people that told us they were intentionally not turning them in. So I don't know what the point of any delay would be. And, with all due respect, Howard, you were able to get your ballot in, and I would have gladly helped you when I called you today. You didn't mention that you had any issue printing it. So I would have gladly helped you or anyone else, even if they were voting for the person I wasn't voting for. It's easy to just print off a ballot and drive to your house. So the fact that we got 53 out of 56 and at least 2 that have intentionally not turned theirs in, I think we should just moved to the candidate statement and vote.
Thank you, Mr. Odie. I do have someone here on a 510 number, and I will lower the hand and just go ahead and announce yourself because I don't know who you are, but I want to make sure you can speak. Oh, and it's *9 if you want to unmute yourself on your telephone. I think we can hear you now. Hello? Okay, well, while they're trying to unmute, I'll move to Mario Juarez. Mario, I'm gonna lower your hand and then you can speak, please.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, I lowered my hand. Just I'll repeat what Jim Odie just said. It seems like we got 98% doing the math, 98% of the participants eligible to vote are voting. There's no disenfranchising here. I mean, that argument is just completely out of line. This is what happens. Main job of the party is to endorse a candidate. And we get people who get endorsed and people that don't get endorsed. And in campaigns, we get people that win and some people will lose. So I'm glad that 53 people got their ballots in, that people did read the rules. They understand how this is done, where we actually call people and we would propose and we get people to join one candidate versus another. It's just the nature of this politics. And so I'm just glad to see the process working. And I appreciate everybody doing a hard work and getting this done within the timeframes that are required, that are mandated to be done. And so I'm very happy that is happening. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go back and give another try to that phone number there, the 510-712. I'm going to ask to, well, actually, *9 on your telephone pad would allow you to unmute. So I want to make sure you're able to do that. Okay, I'm going to see if I can unmute you on your own on my side. Otherwise, we're just going to have to move on.
Okay.
Okay. I did have a note I wanted to share. Sherry Johansson is actually, one second here, one of the folks that has not cast, and Sherry just mentioned she is no longer a resident of AD 18, just as a point of information for everybody.
Okay.
Houses for sale in my neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the, let's go ahead and do the speeches.
Right. So we're going to move on because I'm reminded here in the rules that this is being this is called for by the chair of the state, designated me to run this, but it has been called for now. So we're going to move to the speeches.
There was a second motion from Doug.
What's that? Okay.
Hey, Rocky, let's move forward with the speeches.
Yeah.
As you said, the bylaws clearly say that the chair of the CDP is the one who will who calls this election, designates you to run it. So you'd be the person to do it, and that this body does not have the ability to actually change when the meeting happens. So
yes. Okay, we're moving on. The first speech will be Janani Ramachandran, and then followed by Mia Bonta.
I'm going to share my screen.
And, yeah, thank you, Emma.
Okay, and I'm going to put a 2-minute timer. Is that what we're going with, the 2-minute? We've decided to go beyond 1 to 2 minutes. Here we go. Hopefully everyone can see that. And then let me make sure Johnny is here. Oh, here. Okay, I'm going to ask. You can also unmute yourself if you'd like. Let me know if you cannot. Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask. Can you do it?
I believe there was a motion before this, though, that was not heard.
It was rolled out of order.
And Pam Price just wrote a comment that there's the ability to challenge the chair, and they did, and it was seconded. So I don't want to start until fair process is given right now.
Janani, the body doesn't have the ability to change when the endorsement vote happens. The chair called the meeting to be today, July 5th at 5:30. So you're not able to then change it and keep postponing the vote. This is when it is.
But that wasn't the motion. That was not Doug's motion.
Okay, if Doug's motion has anything to do with speech lengths or something like that, that's fine. But if it has to do with anything else related to when we're counting the ballots which have already been received and the deadline is already closed or anything like that, it would be out of order. So
it does not have to do with timing of this election.
No,
Okay.
it has to do with the qualifications for who's able to vote. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's absolutely at issue here.
And I
so
ruled
that
out
would
of
be
order.
no, Rocky. So that's something that you would have to file a challenge with
A challenge about that.
after this meeting.
Right.
So there's a process for that if you are challenging the credentials of one of the people voting, but it's not something that is decided in the meeting right now.
There's also the right to be heard, and right now someone made a motion. The overruling was challenged by more individuals than was required, and he deserves to be heard.
I think I went through everybody who had their hand raised and heard everyone.
And Doug made a motion that was not heard.
Okay, if Doug wants to raise his hands, we can hear this motion. But again, being very clear, any motion related to the credentialing of someone in this meeting is out of order because it's done by a different group. Is Doug Art Blackshear? Is that why?
Correct.
Okay.
I did actually call on Art. I didn't realize he answered. He would like to. I was giving everyone an opportunity to speak, but I'm sorry. I can call on Art again. Art, I'd like to call on you again. Hello, Art. Asking to unmute you.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Blackshear. Yes.
Yes. Just call me Art then, so he doesn't get any.
Okay.
Once again, I have the issue, and I brought it up, and this is the second time, with the matter of having signatures of delegates, and there was a misunderstanding of whether the delegate signed the ballot, and that's the grounds for disqualification. Would that be fair to say? I mean, we have all these things going around the country. We're supposed to be the party of allowing people to vote fairly. There's a problem here.
Art, this is out of order, and the reason why is because this pertains to I believe what you're referring to might be referring to previous endorsing caucuses, and there was a challenge period that was noticed, and that challenge period has ended. There's a challenge period for this that will commence at the end of this meeting, and that's the proper venue for filing such a challenge.
Respectfully speaking, this is an issue. If there are being votes, delegates are getting their signature forged, that's a problem. Don't you think? That's an issue. That goes with integrity, ethics.
And like I say, there's a process for that. At the conclusion of this, that any participants welcome to go through.
Well, my motion is still on the floor, and the second is the investigating a conflict of interest and violating the CDP bylaw. Those are two serious issues. If we're supposed to be the party of ethics and righteousness, then this cuts to the core of that. Thank you. Respectfully speaking.
All right.
Okay, there are two more folks raising their hand, and then I recommend we move forward, but it's up to you, Rocky.
Yes, we're going to move forward.
Okay, so shall I call on these last two folks, just to be sure?
Yes, we'll hear those two, and then we're going to move to the speeches.
Okay, thank you. And Austin Tam?
Once again, this is a shameful and disgraceful process. This is not the party of ethics. Make a motion to disqualify Rob for self-dealing because he appointed family members and staffers because they have material financial interest involved with getting me endorsed. This is ridiculous. This is not a democracy. This is ridiculous, and we need to investigate.
Okay.
Okay, and then next up we have Myra. Hello, Myra. Let me make sure I didn't. Make sure she can unmute. Okay, Myra, I'm asking to unmute you. I want to be sure.
There you go. Thank you. It said the host is not allowing to unmute, so I wanted to make sure.
I'm the host. I apologize.
It's okay. Mayra Alvarado, first time delegate. Although I've been part of many different committees within my union and know what democracy can look like. And yes, this timeline was short, but if we want to change those rules, there's different avenues for it. I'm a teacher and I'm on break. And to be quite honest, I've already spent a lot of time making sure that I get my own vote in, and it looks like most folks were able to get their vote in. Please, let's not waste any more time and allow our voices, the people who voted, to be taken into account. Thank you.
And that's all the hands we have today, Rocky.
Okay. We're going to move now to the speeches. Can you bring up the timer again, please?
I'm sorry, I want to make one point. I want one clarification. It says the host is not allowing people to unmute. You all can unmute yourselves. This Zoom meeting allows you to do that. And I am unmuting folks if they cannot do that themselves. So just to let you know, I promise I'm being fair. That was it.
Okay. If you can bring up the timer.
All righty. Okay. And I'm asking to unmute you just in case you can't do it yourself.
No one can do it with all respect, but with all due respect, but also we did not take a vote on Doug's motion. I don't know what the issue is. Regardless, if enough delegates believe that this is an issue that cannot be voted on right now.
Is this part of your speech? I will start.
No,
thank you.
This is part of the process.
Okay.
This is exactly an example of what is wrong with everything in this process. The process before us today is fundamentally flawed and most undemocratic. When the Republican Party works to suppress votes, we rightly call them out. And when the California Democratic Party engages in a process that disenfranchises delegates and 1 out of 2 candidates, we have a responsibility to call it out. This election was called during a national holiday with less than 72 hours of notice, with no way for people without a printer and scanner to access the process. That is not enough time to deliberate the very serious issues at play here, including forgery and conflicts of interest. Delegates did not have time to consider the public allegations of members of Mia Bonta's campaign forging a signature on the most recent party endorsement. Delegates did not have time to consider Rod Bonta's violation of the CDP's own bylaws, contacting delegates without disclosing his material financial interests. Delegates did not have time to consider issues of self-dealing. Is it appropriate for the state attorney general, who has a material financial interest in this matter, to pass this vote with family members and campaign staff? Without fair process, the delegates did not have time to consider public allegations of the Bonta campaign forging a signature on a fee waiver as well. I urge you all to consider not endorsing in this race and to call on CDP leadership to investigate these allegations of misconduct and conflicts of interest. The Democratic Party should be held to no different standards than the Republican Party. As delegates to the state, as candidates, as people involved in the democratic system, we have a duty to uphold democracy, not disenfranchise voters, not disenfranchise candidates, and not engage in issues that threaten the foundation of our democracy.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that is time.
All right, we will now move to Mia Bonta.
Oh, I just want to make sure. Okay, Mrs. Bonta, I'm asking to unmute. There we go. Sorry about that. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you all for your dedication to serve this community as delegates in our Democratic Caucus for the AD18. And I want to lift up our fellow Democrats, Malia Vela, Eugene Canson, James Aguilar, Victor Aguilar, and Nelly Batista for stepping up as candidates during this race. Our party is powerful, and together we have accomplished so much that people said was impossible in our bluest of the blue 18th AD. In 18 AD, we continue to outperform the state in exercising our right to vote, kept vital protections for renters, fought hard against NIMBYism to produce the affordable housing that we need, put our resounding demand for criminal justice reform at the center, and fought to pass local measures like Measure A in Alameda and Measure C in Alameda County that ensured our children, youth, and educators are invested in. We supported our workers by voting down Prop 22, held corporations accountable for supporting Prop 15, and supported our renters by overwhelmingly demanding reform to Costa-Hawkins with Prop 21. Yet we all know there's still so much more to do. And like many of you, I have called the East Bay home for the over 20 years and have been a proud and active Democrat during that time. Our community, our district needs a progressive, experienced leader in Sacramento who has a record of getting things done. It's easy to make promises. It's easy to make complaints. It's another thing to do the work. I'm proud of my decades of experience as a nonprofit leader and elected school board member, lifting up East Bay children and working families, helping thousands of children with savings accounts and ensuring that they have an opportunity and a pathway to college. I'm running to make sure we have a collective, powerful voice in Sacramento to ensure every child, resident, and working family has what they need and aren't left behind. I'm committed to be a fearless champion for this community. And in the words of our BWAPA and Emerge sisters, don't talk about it, be about it. Address homelessness, ensure that we address legislation to ensure that we have affordable housing, protect and support communities that live at the intersection of poverty and pollution, and ensure that we're advancing targeted reforms to criminal justice. But today, I want to make sure that you know what drives me. I'm a proud Black Latina who has raised a family by a family of activists. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, going through the rest of the rules, voting at the endorsing caucus is by signed written ballot, results of which shall be read off as though it were a roll call vote. Members must submit their vote by mail via email or to the regional director, convener, me, chairing the endorsing caucus by 5:30 today. No proxy voting is allowed. In order to reach a quorum, we only needed 50% plus one of the credential members of the endorsing caucus to participate. Clearly we met that, whether in person or voting by mail, but we couldn't be in person, unfortunately. The endorsing caucus may not endorse more than one candidate. Each member may vote for one of the candidates who has filed to participate in the endorsement process or vote for no endorsement on the ballot. The candidate must receive at least 60% of the votes of the endorsing caucus members present and voting to be endorsed. No endorsement is counted as a vote. However, pursuant to Robert's Rules of Order, an abstention will not be counted. In the event that no candidate receives 6% and no endorsement fails to achieve a majority, it is deemed that the endorsing caucus has failed to make a consensus on an endorsement. Lastly, per the CDP bylaws, Article 4, Section 7B states, in order to vote and have one's vote counted at any meeting of this committee, a member must have timely, 1, paid their dues to this committee or had them waived, 2, registered for the meeting if registration was required, 3, obtained the credential prior to the closing of credentialing if credentials were issued for the meeting, 4, completed and returned to the proper authority any ballot that may be issued, and 5, agreed in writing to abide by the code of conduct. So if your dues were not paid at the close of balloting today at 5:30, your vote will not be counted. And now we're going to move to the balloting. Thank you to the candidates for your presentations. We'll now move to set up the vote tracker. Emma, if you can do that.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen with the tracker. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
See if I can blow it up a little bit. How about this? A little better? A little bit better to everybody?
Yes.
All right. Okay, good. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna just make sure I'm getting everything accurate. So bear with me. I'm gonna make sure I get everything that is called out.
Okay, you ready?
Uh-huh.
All right, we're gonna start. Victor Aguilar voted for Janani Ramachandran.
Okay.
Myra Alvarado voted for Mia Bonta. And I'm going to apologize in advance if I mess up anybody's name. Sincere apologies. Joseph Anacata voted for Mia Bonta. Kimberly Anacata voted for Mia Bonta. Brandon Barranco voted for Mia Bonta. Art Blacksher voted for Janani Ramachandran. Andrea Bocanegra voted for Janani Ramachandran. Rob Bonta voted for Mia Bonta. Cynthia Bonta voted for Mia Bonta. Mia Bonta voted for Mia Bonta. Zach Bowling voted for Mia Bonta. Andreas Kluver voted for Mia Bonta. Michael Colbruno voted for Mia Bonta. Ellen Corbett voted for Mia Bonta. Phil Daly voted for Mia Bonta. Kieran Darkwater voted for Janani Ramachandran. Pamela Drake voted for Mia Bonta. Sean Dugar voted for Mia Bonta. Howard Agerman voted for Janani Ramachandran. Maria Rosario Enciso voted for Mia Bonta. Victoria Fierce voted for Janani Ramachandran. Victor Flores voted for Mia Bonta. Amanda Gallo voted for Mia Bonta. Rudy Gonzalez voted for Mia Bonta. Brendolyn Goodall voted Mia Bonta. Philip James voted Mia Bonta. Gary Jimenez voted for Mia Bonta. Sherry Johansson cast no ballot. Lenise Jones voted for Mia Bonta. Andre Jones voted for Mia Bonta. Sandy Lee voted for Mia Bonta. Karina Lopez voted for Mia Bonta. Tanya Love voted for Janani Ramachandran. Ken Maxey voted for Mia Bonta. Sarah McAdam voted for Mia Bonta. Iris Marions voted for Janani Ramachandran. Nina Moore voted for Mia Bonta. Rodney Nickens voted for Janani Ramachandran. Jim Odie voted for Mia Bonta. Marie Perez Ruiz voted for Mia Bonta. Pamela Price voted for Janani Ramachandran. Richard Raya voted for Janani Ramachandran. Sarah Richardson voted for Mia Bonta. Royal Roberts cast no ballot. Enid Rosario Villa, voted for Mia Bonta. Libby Schaff voted for Mia Bonta. Jeremy Schaefer voted for Janani Ramachandran. Seth Stewart voted for Mia Bonta. Austin Tam voted for Janani Ramachandran. Robin Torello voted for Mia Bonta. Jessica Olsted voted for Mia Bonta. Malia Vela voted for no endorsement. Alyssa Villanueva voted for Janani Ramachandran. Van Williams voted for Mia Bonta. Alicia Xiong voted for Mia Bonta. And Betty Yee cast no ballot.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me fix my formula here.
Emma, it was correct before. You just need to, I would just do undo, and then you just drag it across from D58 to B58. No, so undo, yeah. All right, so then just click the little dot in the corner and then just drag it to the B, column B. And then let go. There you go.
There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. Sorry, getting my script. Okay, so there were a total of 53 votes cast. $38 ballots were cast for Mia Banta. 14 ballots were cast for Janani Ramachandran, and 1 ballot was cast for no endorsement. Okay, we have all that in order.
Yes.
And with that, Mia Banta cleared the 60% needed to be able to be endorsed by the party, and therefore she is the endorsed candidate of the California Democratic Party.
Okay, is everybody taking a good look at this? Make sure. Okay, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, I would like to, this is the end of the endorsement process for this district. I'd like to thank all of the volunteers, especially the staff who also worked all weekend long, the voters and the candidates for participating in this process. I'd like to thank you all. The 18th Assembly District Post-Primary Special Election Endorsing Conference is now adjourned. I know there's a few people that want to talk, and we can go ahead and have that conversation. But that's the end of this process and this meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Do we want to, I mean, people want to unmute? Can we do that? Yeah. Victoria.
Hey there. So I've got a question, I guess, about, well, 2 of them actually. First, somebody had asked in chat, will we have a copy of the tally when this is done, and or the scans of the ballots? And then after I get an answer, I'll have my second question.
I'm sure we can figure out how to get the tally, the ballots themselves. We usually allow those for review, but we'll figure that out.
Okay, so that's going to be a yes then, I'm going to take it as. So the other thing is, I think there's been a lot of confusion in this meeting because I think it was, I forget who it was, I think it was Emma who kept saying that over and over, we're allowed to unmute ourselves. But I've been trying to unmute myself this entire meeting, and it kept popping up with a little dialogue that says, the host is not allowing people to unmute themselves. And so every time I kept getting told, oh, you can just unmute and start talking. But like, no, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the way the meeting was set up. And a lot of people have been very frustrated about this. And when people are talking about, dysfunction in the Democratic Party and why we are losing votes to non-party preference voters, it's because of dysfunction like this and very basic things. And like people are shouting in chat and saying, we can't unmute ourselves. And as Janani has pointed out multiple times, we can't unmute ourselves. So it's just really disrespectful to me as a delegate and as a member of the CDB to like be told over and over that I'm just like some kind of idiot for not figuring out how to unmute when it says I can't unmute.
Hi, everyone. This is Unique. I just wanted to step in real quick. Emma did have the meeting at the beginning. It was open for everyone to unmute. And as we all experienced, everyone was talking over each other. So it wasn't going well. So usually in the meeting, when we do have a lot of callers, it is muted and everyone needed to raise their hand. So everyone who did raise their hand did get unmuted. But yes, we did. Emma wasn't aware at the time that everyone was muted after she started the meeting. But when the meeting was starting at the beginning for a while, everyone was able to unmute themselves. And sorry if it's loud noises here, if you can't hear me, but that was the issue.
Great. Yeah, no, I understood that. I'm just, this is just another concern I guess I have about the party where, people aren't communicating these sort of minute details about how the meetings are ran. And people want to speak right now. And, you said just now that everybody who had their hand up was able to talk. I'd had my hand up since right before we started making motions, and only now am I talking. So this is just, again, like, big problems. We got to have some technical training for our staff. I mean, like, what else are we paying them for if not to make these things run smoothly, which did not happen tonight?
Yeah, so we went through all of the hands and lowered them individually, and no other hands were raised. At the time when we stopped taking comments, that was announced by Rocky. And that was when the speeches began. But before that, we went through and we had the last two. I don't remember the last two names. And I believe one was Art. But yes, that was announced. It was just the miscommunication with the mute and unmute, which Emma wasn't aware of when we needed.
Unique. This is Art Blackshare. Let me be perfectly clear. I have a podcast every Thursday which talks about politics and business. This is a direct hit to what I'm talking about. We want inclusion for Black votes in America, whether it be Democrat or Republican, and the Democrats are playing the same tricks as the Republican Party. And this is shameful. This is un-American, and this is disgraceful. And I'm appalled that I'm a part of this shenanigans at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts. Okay. Jeremy, I think you've had your hand up for a while, so.
Yeah, I just wanted, I wasn't at the last, I wasn't in the last endorsement meeting, just coming in this time. So I'd heard some things, but now it seems there's more going on to the story. So I'm just wondering, how can we endorse a candidate if their campaign has submitted fraudulent ballots, one or more fraudulent ballots, and are forged signatures on fee waivers? What's going on with that? Was that addressed at the time of the last meeting, Rocky? Was that brought up? Was the party aware that there might be something to investigate there?
There was a 48-hour period to go ahead and put in a challenge, and nobody had put in a challenge at the time. And I'm in my position. I'm not in this meeting right now. I'm not going to necessarily get into all that. But there is a process here. There's a process that started just now for going ahead and filing a challenge, and that was outlined in the memo that everybody got along with the ballot. So please take a look at that if you have that concern.
Oh, okay, but I wasn't at that past meeting, and I would have found that to be material, of interest to what's going on in this meeting, to the vote in this meeting, to know that a candidate had allegedly submitted fraudulent signatures. Does the party keep the is there evidence of that? Is this true, or is this something that, I'm just confused at this because I'm hearing this, forged signature.
If there was a challenge, we would investigate it, but there was no challenge.
Can I challenge it now? I would like to challenge.
The time period is over.
Well, I should be able to challenge it because we're voting on to endorse a candidate. And if the candidate is in question, why can't I challenge and request an investigation from the previous election?
Because there's rules to challenge and the challenge period has passed.
But there's another.
Well, don't have a challenge period right now, right?
For the current.
And to be clear, all candidates were notified of the challenge process in the first round.
And you were all notified in this round as well. So if you go back to the email, you can read on the process.
So I can submit my challenge right now. It's between 48 hours, and I would like for there to be an investigation from the previous.
Yes, you may, but make sure that you review the process so you're doing it correctly.
Yeah,
I will do something.
Okay.
Was the delegate in the last process notified of this 48 hours, and what happened with that?
No challenge was filed in the last part.
Were they notified that they were able to file a challenge within the 48 hours?
All candidates were notified they could file a challenge. Yes.
And also the voting delegates.
And the voting delegates then.
So that's the candidates or the voting delegates can file a challenge?
Yes.
Go back to the memo. It's all in there. It's
all right. I'll reread that.
Yeah,
but
please
is that?
Yeah.
But is it? Was there confirmation at the last meeting, which I wasn't at? Was there confirmation that somebody had submitted, a ballot that was out of order? Is that something that happened? Because I think that's material to what's going on today, and I would challenge it. This endorsement.
All right,
that's true.
I would say I recognize the ballots of the people who were rightfully voting. So that's what the process was.
I don't understand. So was there a ballot that was not accepted because it was submitted twice? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that there was no challenge filed. I'm here as the regional director, so that's my role right at the moment. Okay.
Mr. Chair, could you please move on? The subject does not matter. What happens in the last one,
the meeting is over,
only
just so we're clear.
in this one.
But I'm happy to talk.
We all look to go, and you have.
Okay, Robin, you were at the last one, right? Was there an acknowledgement that somebody had submitted multiple ballots on behalf of a delegate?
I don't recall, Jeremy. I don't.
You had knowledge.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Somebody was accused of submitting a fraudulent ballot and you don't remember? Are you serious?
Just to let everybody know, we should be cordial and we should stick to the code of conduct. If not, then we'll have to end this meeting.
I'm asking, that's not a hypothetical question. I'm asking, are you serious you don't remember? Because that's,
Jeremy, with all respect,
I'm not going to follow through with a challenge to this if this is not true. But what's going on?
Jeremy, could you please be equitable to other folks? Especially there's been people of color waiting in line to talk. So I would appreciate it if, we get this moving. I understand your frustration.
Oh, okay. Well, the meeting has adjourned, so there's no time limit on the.
No, I know there's no time limit, but
all I'm asking for is an answer to one question. In the previous meeting, does anybody who was at the previous meeting, was there an acknowledgement that multiple ballots were submitted for one delegate? Can anybody address that?
Yes, I was aware of what happened because he spoke to the delegate that was in question, and we got her ballot in last minute. So yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So I do want to make sure folks are able to speak, but let's go ahead and cut this off because the meeting's over, and I know there's a lot of passion here. It's also politics, so we are in the midst of a campaign, and I get that. So this probably isn't the venue for this, and there will be other venues for that, and Victoria's outlined the process per the memo. So let's make sure we're in the right venues for all these things, and like I say, this is tense for all of us, and it's been a heck of a couple of days. So let's go ahead and close out with these last few speakers, and then let's go ahead and adjourn. We have to adjourn the meeting. Let's go ahead and end the meeting.
May I
so we can go enjoy the rest of our holiday. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
May I speak?
Yeah, who is this?
Hello.
We can't see your name, so yeah, can you identify yourself?
Okay. Yes, my name is Gene Hazard. Okay?
Hi.
Mia Bata claimed she has a nonprofit, which is Oakland Promise. And I sent in questions to be asked and asked her to provide documentation that affirms that her organization, Oakland Promise, is a nonprofit. And the only affirming agency is the IRS. Ask Mia Bata.
Mr. Hazard,
Wait a minute. I sent something in and it was not addressed. It was not addressed. I emailed it in and nobody said anything. So this is appropriate for me to make that question publicly. Because you did not address
Mr. Chair, I'd like to end the meeting if you...
Yeah, Mr. Hazard, this is a meeting of delegates from the 18th Assembly District, so I apologize to have to cut you off, but this is not in order, and we have 3 more people that need to speak that are delegates.
Hi, so Mayra Alvarado.
Yes.
First time delegate. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm just going to take a deep breath. I think all of us need to take a deep breath personally. It's my first time being a delegate. It's my first time being in politics outside of my union. This kind of accusation BS that is going on within our own process is part of why a lot of people that grew up working class like myself do not get involved in politics. And I think Janani and Mia are both great candidates, and we're really lucky to have had several great candidates running. Now, during this election, there were 3 people that didn't vote. Let's say those 3 people voted and voted for Janani. The results would still be the same in the favor of. Another thing too, I've been hearing a lot of conversation about people or like special interests and things like that. I got several accusations that I was a puppet, right? That I was not being independent. And I think that is extremely problematic, sexist, and racist. We need to watch how we're talking to our fellow delegates. Now, I might not agree with everyone on everything, but can we not make those type of accusations? Because that's what pushes people away. And I live out here in Deep Southern in the Coliseum. I want to engage my fellow folks of color in this process. And that's not going to happen with these kinds of accusations. And I'm sorry, I'm getting really intense, but yeah, I just wanted to voice that really clearly. I think people can make up their own mind, and we're we have our own individual minds. So to assume that because this or that I'm not independent is really disrespectful, racist, and sexist. That's all.
Okay.
I'm done.
And thank you for your comments. We're gonna end this right after we have our speakers here. Mario.
I want to commend the party. I mean, this is always a hard process. Doing this every so often, every 2 years, coming together. We had 2 amazing candidates and more candidates, as it was mentioned, that were running. But we're still making history. And I know it's hard, but we got 70% of the party to agree, or the delegates that voted to agree on something. And this is very big, because the threshold for getting the endorsement of our party is 60%. And here we are at 70+%, sending a historic movement and a Black woman, a strong Latina woman, with our endorsement of most of the delegates. And I know it's hard to accept that in elections we win and we lose some people. And I know it's going to be tough, and I know the candidates will still run the best campaign they possibly can to win this at the end of the day. But I want to commend everybody for coming together, for the fact that 53 people voted today, 98% of the delegates voted today. And the endorsee received over 70%
Hey folks, they're supposed to come back at 8:30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this up again. But as you heard, the argument was quite explosive arguments. And I didn't report on the press release that was sent to me because the nature of the allegations was such that I didn't have concrete proof. It was hearsay, and I didn't have anyone from Rob Bonta's camp or Mia Bonta's camp saying, no, that didn't happen. And this happened, so I was very careful just to back off that. So anyway, subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark opennewsnow.com.